I just finished watching the latest Conjuring film, and I was ready to write a straight review of it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized the issue at the heart of this movie isn't very unique. It's actually part of a larger trend in modern religious horror. So instead of just talking about The Conjuring, I want to step back and look at how some other recent films approach the same problem. In these movies, the sacred isn't enough on its own. Christ's name is spoken, prayers are said, rituals are performed, but the evil doesn't lose. What actually matters, what actually works, is the character's ability to face down their trauma, their fears, or their doubts. And that tells us something about the way modern horror views faith. But to be clear, I'm not talking about movies that skip Christianity entirely or barely touch on it. That's a different choice, and I think that's fine. I'm talking about religious horror films where Christianity is a big part of the story. Now, the Conjuring movie takes this a step further in a pretty tasteless way. The studio actually brought priests into theaters to bless viewers before screenings, marketing the movie as a dangerous experience. I suppose it was a way to excite audiences and prime them for a scary, fun ride.
Well, not exactly. This pop-up before the screener got me pretty good, but the movie itself was very enjoyable. There are some good jump scares, terrifying ghostly moments.
In the story itself, a priest is murdered by a demon even after trying to use Christ as a shield. The demon isn't affected and burns the cross before killing him. Other characters also pray and call on Christ to cast the demon out, but it doesn't work. It's only when one of the girls confronts her fear, stops running, and uses her psychic ability that the demon is finally defeated. In the end, it's the character's inner strength that matters. The Exorcist Believer keeps this pattern going, but in its own way. The priest spends most of the movie being hesitant and cowardly, and when he finally confronts the demon, the power of Christ doesn't work. In fact, he's instantly killed. The demon isn't actually defeated at the end, and though some of the characters survive, it's not because of Christ. They survive because of the power of community, family, and confronting the past, rather than any real connection to Christ himself. Then there's Immaculate. It uses the real religious horror setup, but the real focus is on women taking control of their own bodies. The real power comes from human action, from asserting agency and pushing back against institutions. The director even said trauma was the main inspiration. It's not really about God or faith, it's about choice and survival, and the religious setting is mostly there to make the message louder. Heretic takes a different way. You might think it's on the right track at first. The villain is a cringy Reddit atheist, clearly portrayed to be the bad guy. Yet the story takes this weird direction where instead of the girls using their faith to overcome the situation, the movie leans into themes of control, manipulation, and blindly following religion. It ends on an ambiguous note, leaving viewers to decide for themselves whether faith actually mattered or not. The movie seems more interested in questioning religion than defending it.
Praying doesn't work. Have you ever heard of the Great Prayer Experiment? Divided patients into groups, those who received the prayers and those who didn't. The results of the study were conclusive. It doesn't work, but I think it's beautiful that we all pray for each other. Even though we all probably know it doesn't make a difference. It's just nice to think about someone other than yourself. Even if it's you.
See, modern religious horror doesn't treat faith or Christianity as something that truly decides the outcome anymore. Instead, beating evil or surviving the horror usually comes down to character growth, facing personal fears, and relying on inner strength. When his name or prayers meant to call on him don't work, it shows that modern religious horror doesn't really believe faith is the source of power. It's just a setting for stories about human courage, guilt, and struggle. Evil is still treated as something spiritual, but the answer to it is purely human.